liquidity, if you have £140 lying around and you want a very cheap handheld and you don't want to be playing on the cloud, but play and download games you want, this makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. Solid mind here, and today we're looking at the Powkiddy X55. You can tell I love these names. The question of the day is, should you buy this in 2024? I was having a quick look on my end. Let me just show you so you can see. So here it's looking like it's around £132. So not the cheapest. You can also buy it for £99 if you wanted to. So I guess it depends. This one comes with 30,000 games. This one comes with 10,000 games. So I guess it depends on which one you want emulation wise. So between 100 and 130, £5 is how much it costs. So pretty much on the high-ish end for like cheap handhelds. So the question of the day is, should you, as a consumer, consider buying this? Let's find out together.
Now this one is actually very similar to the RGB30 that we were just talking about. The only main difference here is the control scheme.
Yeah, the previous RGB30 is at the exact same price point. So if you are looking between the RGB30 and this one, then they're pretty similar.
As well as the screen. This one has a 16:9.
Oh, sorry. Don't show me this and then just walk away.
The only main difference here is the control scheme as well as the screen. This one.
Okay, so it has two USB Type-Cs, a headphone jack, HDMI out. It has the controls at the back. This looks a lot better already. It has a more ergonomic feel. You can see that there's a little curve at the back, which means that when holding it, it will feel better. So
it has a 16:9 aspect ratio display, which is going to fit really well with more modern games, and it has a 720p resolution. It also has stacked shoulder buttons, which means it's going to feel more natural when you're playing something that requires you pressing on those left and right triggers.
Yes.
And finally, among all the other handhelds we're talking about in this video, it's the only one that has the analog stick up top.
You don't know how good that feels to finally see a budget handheld that has a very similar aesthetic to the Nintendo Switch, to the Steam Deck. Obviously the ROG has a little bit different, but this looks already like a lot of the expensive handhelds. You know what? Let me do this for you then. Here in the UK, we have a little shop called Curry's, and in Curry's you can get electronics. It's the go-to place, I would say, for electronics. Yes, there's also Argos and Amazon, but let me show you what I can see. So here in the UK, accept cookies. Yeah, let's accept them all. Track me. Alrighty. So see, for example, this is the ROG Ally X. You can't compare it. This costs like 7 times the price, but you can see in terms of how it looks that it has a Joy-Con at the top and here at the bottom. So it has that type of aesthetic, which for me is a plus. Obviously this costs way more and is on Windows, not on some old system. Here's MSI Claw, one of the cheapest handhelds out there. You can see that it has a similar aesthetic as well. So if you look at it, if it chooses to load, that it does have a similar, I guess, there we go, a similar layout to what we've been looking at. See how they've got the A, B, X, Y buttons, then the Joy-Con, and here has a Joy-Con, then the directional control. So that just shows you that this already starts to look like the cheaper, handhelds out there. Even the, what is this? The Logitech down here. A Logitech G Cloud, of course. This is not a cloud device that we're looking at. But here's, for example, see the analog buttons, how they look very similar. This is the more modern design. This is like the Xbox controller design. This is the go-to, I guess, layout, and it makes the most sense. So when I see I can when I see that this looks a lot like those devices, my head automatically goes to this already understands ergonomics, understands button placement, and for the price point, if the software is good, this is the easiest recommendation I would do today.
And as you can imagine, when it comes to more modern games, that's going to be a really good fit as well. Now, when it comes to emulation, there are a couple ways that this one really shines, especially when it comes to things like Nintendo 64 or Dreamcast, but played with widescreen hacks on. This means you'll be able to play these classic games, but in a wider aspect ratio.
So what that means is that the older games were designed for 4:3, not 16:9. What that means is that they're designed for more for a square display, but through emulation, the reason why you can extend it is because the actual map is always wider, especially in 3D games. For example, even in Mario, you can only see a small section, but what's been rendered is beyond that and also behind that. So by being able to render a little bit more, you can extend the 4:3 display wider than 16:9. The game doesn't change, it's just seeing more. That means it won't help you play the game better, but it just means you get to see a little bit more than you normally would. That's why this makes sense.
And you'll see more things going on than you did previously on those old TVs. In addition,
nice.
PlayStation portable games look really good on this handheld. Now, the chip isn't quite powerful enough to be able to play every PSP game, but I would say at least half of the catalog is going to be very playable on this as well.
So that can be a downside. For this price point, if you spend like £30 extra, you can get a PlayStation Vita as well. But this is already designed to work well with emulation. So, and the PS Vita does not have all the controls that this has. So it's one of those where it's like, what do you want really? Of course, you can, for an extra £100, go to the Logitech G Cloud, where you can play games through the cloud on the handheld. But this, let's say you want to play retro games, so far for me is a big win. I am recommending it already. If you have £140 lying around and you want a very cheap handheld and you don't want to be playing on the cloud, but play and download games you want, this makes perfect sense. Perfect sense.
Well, and other systems that are a little bit wider, like Game Boy Advance, look excellent too. But I do think that the place where the Powkiddy X55 really shines is that it's kind of a budget streaming device. There really aren't any.
I'm blinking a lot because this now puts it at a much higher level. When streaming, the device does not need to be that powerful because it's accessing a already powerful device. So let's finish this a little bit.
Any other handhelds at this price point that can do streaming so well. And thankfully, the community software solutions that you have already have Moonlight enabled, which is an app that you can use to stream from a PC over to this handheld. And so here I've connected my X55 to the PC in my house, and so I'm doing local streaming from Steam.
Yeah, so I think I still have it open actually. So I was just talking about this device, the Logitech G Cloud handheld. This is a streaming device for 299 today. So £300 or £132, less than half the price to get a streaming device. Of course, with this device, you don't need to have a PC linked to it. You can stream from the cloud, whereas the cheaper, you need to have a PC that's powerful enough to already play the games and then stream from that. That is the benefit of using this. But if you're just looking for a handheld, like, get it. I believe this is one of the best handhelds you can get for £140 because you can access Steam through a PC. You can also, this is basically a PlayStation Portal, but you can also play games on it. Like, it's a no-brainer. Like, play games on the device without having to link it to a physical, device. If you wanted to, you could. So it's the best of both worlds, as Hannah Montana would say.
Over onto that. Now, to be clear, it's not going to be a perfect experience. There's always going to be a little bit of lag when it comes to streaming, and this one doesn't have a super powerful or high-speed Wi-Fi chip, but I think it is good enough to be able to play most games. In addition, the triggers on the left and right are not analog inputs, and so if you want to play something like a racing game, it's not going to...
Yeah, that's a very powerful PC game. So I guess because you are streaming it from your PC, it does make sense because the chip in this will not be able to work on a high-end AAA game.
To be a perfect fit. However, the analog stick-centric device and the more ergonomic grips that we have on the back does make this a pretty comfortable experience for playing all those other games that won't require analog triggers. And really, once you start streaming to your PC, it opens up a whole world of possibilities. For example, you could log into Game Pass and go and do some cloud gaming from a browser onto your X55, but via your PC. Now, bear in mind that is another layer of lag because you have both cloud streaming going to your PC, but then also streaming that to your handheld, so it's not going to be like a perfect console-like experience. All the same, it's a lot of fun to mess around with for under $100. Anyway, if you're looking for a pretty comfortable handheld to be able to use with a bit more of a modern control scheme, then I'd recommend the X55.
So let's finish this video. Should you buy this handheld? Yes. It's a simple yes. A, you can access Steam. B, you can do a remote to your PC and play games from that or access it. Yes, other devices will allow that as well, but this is powerful enough to do that. Also, it has a very modern aesthetics. It looks like the MSI Clo, the ROG Ally, Ally X, G Cloud, Logitech. It looks a lot like those handhelds already. Similar looking aesthetic, ergonomic. The buttons look nice. The button feel looks good. For £132, I'm struggling to find the area where I can say don't get it. It's reasonable and it's more powerful than cheaper handhelds and can do a lot of the things that the expensive handhelds can do. So it's kind of like, all I'm gonna say, guys, if money is a problem but you have a powerful PC already, this makes sense. If you don't have a powerful PC, then I would say maybe go for the more expensive handhelds. For example, you can get a £500 cheap handheld, or for that price, you can get a pretty powerful PC for less than £300. Spend £130 on this. That means it's still cheaper than one handheld. That way, you have a powerful PC and powerful enough handheld that you can, remote onto it. So that's my thoughts. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.